Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? Well, generally what happens to me is I come up with some idea or I read something on Facebook or I watch somebody else's video and I think, gosh, that would be a good video topic, um, something to talk about. So I kind of jot it down. And later on I might go look at them. I've got a list of things, here on my phone. And sometimes I look at them and I have no idea what I meant when I wrote that down. Sometimes I've written down somebody's name and, I don't know what that was. It sounded interesting at the time. But I'm out here shoveling my driveway today. We shoveled it yesterday, but they plowed us back in, so it's all ice. So I'm shoveling that, and I'm listening on my headphones to Tim Harper's two-part video response to Hammered, where he's talking about pacing in a narrative-style campaign. And it kind of hits me that this relates to something else I was thinking of, which also relates to another thing I was thinking of, that these things I jotted down. And I kind of love it when all of a sudden these seemingly disjointed things start to all make sense or all kind of congeal together, because I like that. Anyhow, so what was the original thing? Caius Wallen, Caius of Galantry, he didn't make a video about this. I think he just posted in RPG Brigade and a couple other Facebook groups this idea that, a series of bad die rolls can end a character's life. So wouldn't it be fair if there was a mechanic, no matter how unlikely, that could end a game world entirely? So if you as a player put all this effort and emotional investment to a character, shouldn't it be fair if there's a mechanical way to end the game world? Maybe a player can somehow figure out what that is and destroy it, or maybe they do it by accident or on purpose. And, of course, he took quite a beating for this. I thought it was a great question. I put down, sure, why not? It depends. I mean, it's a longer answer than that. But this happens all the time. And it's called player agency. And, of course, as Tim is talking about in his video about just destroying the best laid intentions of a game master when the players show up and do whatever the heck they want. I'm like, oh yeah, that's definitely happened to me. I think Tim and I actually had a Hangouts chat, or we did, but I think we were talking about at one point, what I was calling unhealthy emotional investment in your creation as a game master. And I've certainly, had that happen to me where the players then shot everything to heck. At least my plans, maybe the entire world did not, collapse upon itself. But my plan sure did. My ideas of what might happen. The big bad guys were dead. They completely ignored whatever thing I had over here. These great ideas were all shot. Or, heck, I've played in campaigns where we've pretty much, burned the game master's ideas to the ground. Sometimes literally. And it wasn't just to be jerks. It was just that seemed like a good idea at the time. So, in a very real way, that's a big part of what happens. So, be that as it may, that's just one of those things. I thought the idea of some kind of mechanical thing that really ends the world entirely depends on the game. I had I know this isn't really a role-playing game as such, but when I went over to my friend's house and he had some kind of glitch in the playtest we were going to do on one of his Conan Dungeons Deep games, we ended up playing the Aliens game, and I guess he used the pulse rifles in the reactor room. Not a great idea, but there's only a 1% chance that you'll actually blow the reactor and kill everybody. And about me, I don't know, hour and a half into the game, somebody actually rolls, 00. It was all over. It's funny. But, not exactly a completely fair analogy, but it was funny. And the game was over, and then we did something else. Let's see. I don't want to misquote. Megan Bennett Burks actually mentioned the RPG Brigade thread. The idea, well, maybe that'd be kind of cool if you have some kind of world that ends, the entire game world just collapses, but the players are able to escape to some kind of parallel reality or another reality. And of course, I'm instantly thinking of Lex, Tales from a Parallel Universe, and it's one of my guilty pleasures from back in the day. And I used to like to watch that show. Farscape Lex Night was I enjoyed that. So now you know some of my less cool geek preferences. Stupid show, but I loved it. But something like that might be kind of cool. And thinking of things similar to that, in fiction, thinking His Dark Materials. The idea there are these parallel universes you can jump out to, and what if one just completely evaporates? Lamentations of Flame Princess, not the game itself, like the rules, but there's a module or two. I think some of the free RPG Day ones written by James Edward Radley IV, where it actually has kind of a world-ending possibility in there. Very small, but you could completely destroy the world. Actually, no, I'm sorry. In the book too, you can it pretty much erase life on your continent with this one spell. Very, very unlikely, but it could happen. Very unlikely. I almost cast that spell too, by the way, because I figured I had a shot of doing it right. Anything else? I'm like, oh yeah, Broken Rooms. It's games I'm reading now has a series of parallel universes, and some of them are in danger of pretty much ending. They all kind of have this scenario where things are going very badly, and things actually could. At the end of the game, there's hints, and I don't want to ruin too much. And I haven't read all of it. Either things could get very good for them, or very bad. Something could happen, which could be either really good or perhaps really bad. You don't know, but stuff like that could be kind of interesting. So I think that's, it's not appropriate for every game and every campaign world, but to have something like that in there as a possibility, why the heck not? I thought that was kind of a neat little idea. And one of the other things that's got me thinking of um, was tripwires and contingencies. And I was thinking of making a separate video for this, but I said, well, what the heck, why not? I'll just kind of throw it in here. Tripwires is a word that Ron Edwards used in his book RPG Circle of Hands that I just read, and hopefully you get to play at some point. And what tripwires really are is they're contingencies. They're an idea that, like, the as you create your session or adventure or whatever, as a game master, you don't really script anything, but there's certain things like, should the players do this, this happens. Should this particular set of circumstances go down, then this is going to be the outcome. I mean, I think a lot of good prepared modules or pre-written adventures have that in it. Once again, like James Edward Raggi, in some of his the adventures that he wrote, he has some great little descriptions, like, should the players do this, or should this one, rather sometimes not unlikely thing happen. Should the players do this, this is what's going to happen. Should the players do this, this is how this person's going to react. So having some kind of tripwires in your session when you're preparing it as a game master, I think is a really cool thing. That doesn't mean they're going to happen, but some of those tripwires, as I was thinking about all this, some of these tripwires could be pretty bad. So the possibility that maybe you throw something in there, it's very unlikely, but it's a good chance they could open a portal to another world, and things could go down really badly. Why not? Why not have some kind of little reactor room? Something where, all of a sudden something bad's happen. And of course, it doesn't have to happen right away. The players could unwittingly flip some kind of switch, which now is creating this cascading series of events which could destroy the game world. And perhaps they get to fix it. Perhaps they don't. Perhaps they have to find something else, someplace else to go. So, just food for thought. I thought it was a great question. And yeah, sure, at the end of the day, your answer might be no. Cool. But, just giving it some thought. And so, I took that question that Caius answered and kind of ran with it in my head and thought of all the various, all the places it could go. I'm sure I didn't even begin to scratch the surface of all the places it could go. But I enjoy that. So yeah, player agency, some parallel worlds, some little tripwires and contingencies. It doesn't have to be adversarial. But the idea that, yeah, okay, player characters can die, and sometimes as a game master, your great, beautiful creation can die, and maybe sometimes everybody just has to run like heck because, I mean, anybody ever heard of Cthulhu? All right, that's it. Talk to you later.